dagger-like teeth, a monstrous appetite. It even walks on land.
Sounds like it's out of a movie. This invasive and sinister species kills its competition, will grow up to 3 feet long, and can devastate waterways.
The order came down from the Department of Natural Resources, and it was unlike anything anglers had ever heard before. If you catch this fish, do not release it. Do not freeze it alive. You need to terminate it immediately. Not relocate, not report, terminate. The creature they were describing has a long, serpentine body, a massive mouth filled with what officials disturbingly call shiny teeth, and eyes that sit forward on its skull like a predator that knows exactly what it's hunting. But what makes this animal truly terrifying isn't what it does in the water. It's what it does when it decides to leave. This is the story of an invasion that science said couldn't happen, a creature that breaks every rule of biology, and a nightmare that has already breached containment. The day everything changed.
That are new to Georgia, and what makes the northern snakehead fish so unique? It's a big old fish. It can survive on land.
It'll walk right up to your...
It was a quiet October afternoon in 2019. The air was cooling down in Gwinnett County, Georgia.
I would say it's a very significant concern, because it's a top predator.
The leaves had just started to turn golden. An angler was casting for base in Osum Creek, expecting the familiar fight of a largemouth, maybe a stray catfish. Just a relaxing day by the water. When his line went tight, he felt the weight immediately. But something was wrong. The fish wasn't fighting like any base he'd ever caught. It was thrashing, twisting in a way that felt serpentine, almost like a muscle-bound eel was on the end of his line. When he finally hauled it onto the bank, he froze. It looked like a snake, but it had fins. It had a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth and scales patterned like a python. The eyes were what really got to him. They were set forward, focused, almost predatory in a way that fish simply shouldn't look.
The Department of Natural Resources says scientists found an invasive fish in the Mon River. It's the first confirmed snakehead fish sighting in western PA. It's a predatory fish that competes with other fish for food, and it could impact the local fish population.
This was the Northern Snakehead, the first confirmed sighting in Georgia, and it sent a shockwave through every wildlife agency in the state. You have to understand what this meant. For years, officials had believed that natural barriers and distance from northern populations would keep Georgia safe. That hope died on that muddy bank, because Osum Creek feeds directly into the Chattahoochee River. If you know anything about Georgia geography, you know the Chattahoochee is the lifeblood of the entire state.
So in the last 2 years, only one snakehead has been found in the Chesapeake Bay. But just this past spring, biologists counted dozens of them, and they're warning the species could be expanding.
It runs through Atlanta and down to the Florida line. If these creatures established themselves there, they would have a direct highway to the Gulf of Mexico. But what made this discovery even more disturbing was a detail that emerged in the weeks that followed. This wasn't just about one invasive fish swimming where it shouldn't be. This was about a creature that doesn't play by the rules of nature. A creature that evolution spent millions of years perfecting, evolution's perfect killing machine.
Fish is an invasive species that came into Maryland back in the early 2000s. If you've been following, they've been a big problem for our aquatic ecosystem because they eat everything, but nothing eats them. Nothing except us.
Yes, and Caroline Forback tells us how lawmakers are rebranding the snakehead fish to encourage more people to eat them and hopefully control the population.
Let's be clear about something. Calling the northern snakehead a fish feels like an understatement. It's more like a biological tank designed by nature to be completely unstoppable. Its most famous ability is one that sounds like science fiction. This fish can breathe air. While most fish rely entirely on gills and suffocate when water oxygen drops, the snakehead possesses what's called a suprabranchial organ, a labyrinth of chambers that functions like a primitive lung. It can surface, gulp air, and keep hunting while every other fish in the pond is dying around it. But breathing air is just the beginning. This creature can leave the water entirely. It doesn't flop helplessly like a fish out of water. It uses its pectoral fins to row itself across dry land, covering up to 400 meters in a single day. That's a quarter of a mile. Imagine you have a perfectly sealed pond. You think your fish are safe. But if there's a snakehead in the ditch down the road, it can literally crawl across your lawn, slide under your fence, and slip into your water. Once it arrives, it becomes the apex predator, rows of needle-like teeth that slash rather than bite. An appetite so voracious that it will eat until its stomach is visibly distended. Crayfish, frogs, dragonflies, other fish, nothing is safe. A full-grown snakehead can reach 33 inches and weigh 20 pounds. That's a monster patrolling the shallows. But here's what makes eradication nearly impossible. Unlike most fish that spray thousands of eggs and swim away, snakeheads are fierce, dedicated parents. A single female can release up to 50,000 eggs per year. Both parents guard the nest aggressively, attacking anything that approaches. They fan the eggs constantly to keep them oxygenated. This level of care means their survival rate is exponentially higher than native species. You start with 2 snakeheads. Within a year, you have thousands, and they're tough. They can survive in water temperatures ranging from 32 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. In Virginia, snakeheads were found frozen solid in ice during winter. When the ice thawed, they just swam away. You can't starve them, you can't suffocate them, and you can't freeze them.
This is a fish story without exaggeration, but you might wish it was untrue. That right there is known as a snakehead fish, known for its long body, large mouth, and yes...
How do you fight an enemy that has a biological answer for every weapon you have? The mistake we're still paying. For the Georgia nightmare didn't emerge from nowhere. To understand what's happening now, we have to travel back to 2002, to a small pond in Crofton, Maryland.
The invasive snakehead fish continues to spread. 81 snakeheads were caught in the Conowingo Dam this spring, a dramatic increase after only one was found there in the past 2 years.
A man had ordered a pair of snakeheads from a market in New York to make soup for his sick sister. When she recovered before he could cook them, he made a decision that would echo through decades. Instead of disposing of them, he dumped them into a local pond. That single act of misguided kindness sparked a national panic. News helicopters circled the pond. Officials made the dramatic decision to poison the entire body of water with rotenone, killing everything inside. They found over 1,000 juvenile snakeheads and 6 adults. Everyone celebrated, mission accomplished. But here's what the headlines missed. By the time they declared victory, the snakehead had already escaped into the Potomac River. And that's where the real disaster began. By 2018, estimates suggested there were over 10,000 snakeheads in that river system alone. They had become a permanent fixture, and from that stronghold, they started moving south. Virginia fell first, then the Carolinas, now Georgia. The federal ban on importing live snakeheads came too late. The black market continues to thrive. People buy them as exotic pets because baby snakeheads look cute and manageable. Then the fish grows into a glass-smashing predator that eats everything in the tank, and the panicked owner drives to the nearest lake and sets it free. One bucket dump, that's all it takes to doom an entire ecosystem. When the sky opens. But human carelessness is only half the equation. Nature itself has become the snakehead's greatest ally. Georgia is hurricane country. When massive storms dump feet of rain in hours, rivers swell, dams overflow, and isolated ponds merge into one giant connected waterway. The snakehead, trapped in a retention pond, suddenly has a direct current leading to the main river. It's a jailbreak on a biblical scale. Scientists suspect that the rapid spread into Georgia's coastal basins was accelerated by major storm events. Hurricane Michael in 2018 created historic water levels. The theory no one wants to discuss.
Well, an invasive fish that can breathe air and survive for days on land has been caught in the Schuylkill River, leading to a warning from park rangers. Chester County Rangers came across this snakehead fish along the Black Rock Sanctuary in Phoenixville last week. The fish are known for their elongated body, long fins, large mouths, and sharp teeth.
Now we enter territory that sounds almost too disturbing to be real, but the reports are multiplying. Anglers in the invasion zone have witnessed something that defies conventional understanding of fish behavior. Large schools of adult snakeheads moving in formation. Not random clusters, but tactical lines. Top predators don't school, they compete. They attack each other. But snakeheads seem to tolerate each other's presence in ways that suggest something resembling social intelligence. Some researchers are quietly discussing pack hunting. The theory suggests snakeheads may use chemical signals to alert others when prey is trapped. One fish finds a school of bass in a cove. Instead of feeding alone, it releases pheromones. Suddenly, 20 snakeheads descend on the location in a coordinated feeding frenzy. There are reports of snakeheads testing fences, repeatedly ramming the same weak point in a barrier. A random fish jumps randomly. The war we may have already lost.
The invasive snakehead fish continues to spread. 81 snakeheads were caught in the Conowingo Dam this spring, a dramatic increase after only one was found there in the past 2 years. The snakehead was first found in Maryland waters back in 2002, quickly spread throughout the Chesapeake Bay tributary.
Here is the truth that nobody wants to admit. Every expert who looks at this invasion knows what's coming. The containment strategies are failing. The biological weapons we've developed are outmatched by an organism that has spent millions of years evolving to survive exactly these kinds of challenges. For every snakehead we catch, dozens remain hidden in the mud, breathing air, waiting. They're watching their prey suffocate while they thrive. They're walking between waterways we thought were isolated. They're potentially communicating in ways we don't understand. The Gwinnett County discovery wasn't the beginning of an invasion. It was confirmation that the invasion had already succeeded. We're not fighting to contain them anymore. We're learning to live with them. The question now isn't whether the snakehead will spread further. The question is whether anything we do can slow them down. And in the murky waters of the American South, that answer becomes more uncertain every single day.